Very good afternoon, students. Welcome to this my second class. Today, I'm going to teach you one more play here, written by Ben Jonson. Before I discuss about play, I would like to draw your attention to what is a drama and why we need to study drama and how to study drama and how to write answers to the questions which are asked in the question paper. To talk few things about drama, drama is something which was written earlier from the first century. Drama got popular when during the Shakespearean period. To talk about that period, Shakespeare has written 37 plays and 154 sonnets. All the plays are very popular. And what is the difference between play or the novel, between play and novel? There are many differences when we look into the play and as well as the novel. Novel can be narrated in the first person, second person, and the third person. Novel can be narrated in first person, second person, or the third person. But drama is the one where we can actually hear the dialogues of the speaker. We can always feel the feelings of the person. So there are characters who speak themselves to the others. When you want to read and understand a play, you actually should read the original text. You should read the actual dialogues of the speaker. Then only you will be able to understand, you will be able to comprehend what the particular person is speaking about. Maybe a husband or a wife, their conversation, maybe a father is talking to the child, maybe a lover is talking to his beloved. Each and every dialogue should be enjoyed, then only you will be able to grasp the inner meaning of that particular text. Volpone, just I'm going to introduce this play. Volpone, written by Ben Jonson. It was written in Jacobean period, Jacobean period, there 1606 to 1606 it was written, and it is a comedy, and it was named Volpone. It was written and it was considered as one of the finest comedies of that particular period. It took very less time for the author to write it, and it was it was published in the year 1607. Sorry, it was performed in 1607 at Globe Theatre. Why he has written? And he wanted to mock, he wanted to make criticism about his contemporaries of his own age. Remember, students, it is very, very difficult for a person to comment or criticize a person publicly. Through the novels or through the dramas, they used to mock the people. So here, the author wants to satire his contemporaries through his writing. Let us look at the title, Volpone. What is the meaning of Volpone? In this Greek word, Volpone means it is a beast. It is the fox, F-O-X, fox. The play, when you look into the play, understand it is named after fox. It is a beast. The play opens in Venice in Italy. The opening of the scene takes place in Venice, in Italy. Let us understand a few of the main characters. Students, can you hear me? Am I audible to you? Please text me in the box given their message. The play opens in Venice, that is in Italy. The main characters are Volpone, Corbaccio, and a few of the characters which I'm going to introduce later. Volpone is the main character around whom the whole story revolves. Around whom the whole story revolves. Who is Volpone? Volpone is an old man, is very rich and is very, very famous, and he possesses lots of gold in his store. And remember one thing, he worships gold like God. He worships gold like God, G, capital G-O-D, God. And remember a few things about Volpone. Volpone, even though he is a famous personality in Venice, and the whole city knows that he doesn't have any children. It doesn't have any children. He lives only with one servant named Mosca. He lives with his servant Mosca, M-O-S-C-A. And he is always very faithful to him, stays with him. They live together for a long time. We are introduced with two characters, that is, he comes to know that he doesn't have any children and he lives with his servant named Mosca. Both Volpone and Mosca, they try to play tricks with the people. What is the trick they are going to play? They are going to cheat the other people. They're going to cheat the other people. How? Later, when I just describe the story, you will understand. So, you are now very familiar with two characters, that is Volpone, and is the main character around whom the whole story or the whole episode revolves. And another person is Mosca, the servant with whom Volpone lives for a longer time. This much you understand? So let us continue what happens. Volpone is an intelligent man. He takes advantages of his old age. He is an old man, as I told you, even though he is rich, he is an old man. He takes advantages of his old age. He plays drama that is very sick and is going to die very soon. So people come to meet him or meet the sick Volpone, and he has the wish that people will visit him and people will bring lots of rich gifts to him. That's what his assumption is. He wants to grow his richness. How? By cheating the other people, pretending that he is sick. Let us see as the play progresses. Let us see how and what is the trick he's going to play. He expects the gifts like gold, silver, and diamond. People fall prey to his words. P-R-E-Y, prey to his words. They think that before Volpone dies, he will write the will to the people who give rich gifts to Volpone. Always remember, he is one of the richest persons in Venice. He doesn't have any people to take care of his property or inherit his properties. And people think that he is a very sick person. If I give him rich gifts, he will write all his properties in his name. And that's how Volpone tries to cheat the other people. So he tries to play fool with three people. Who are the three characters with whom Volpone tries to play fool with? One, Walter is an advocate. Please remember, is an advocate, is a very popular person, and who always Volpone is an advocate. Walter, Voltore, Walter is an advocate who is admires the other, who always admires. And next character whom Volpone is Corbaccio. He always comes around Volpone's house thinking that after Volpone's death, all the properties will be made well in Corbaccio's name. An interesting fact here, dear students, we should note, Corbaccio is much older than Volpone. Corbaccio is much older than Volpone. And he is more sicker than Volpone, and he doesn't have any teeth, and he has got hearing problem. He's not completely deaf, but he has the problem of hearing. But he wants the property. He believes that he's going to leave more than Volpone. And remember, Corbaccio is also one of the richest men in Venice, in Italy. He is also one of the richest men in Italy. When he hears about the ill health of Volpone, he always runs after Volpone's house, just thinking about property. And he wants money. He wants to enrich his richness in his store. That's what his assumption is. Look at the sarcastical description about Corbaccio. We'll continue. He runs to him seeking property. The fact here is Corbaccio thinks that he can leave more than Volpone. That's what I have already explained. And when he comes to know that Volpone is about to die, and Corbaccio feels rejuvenated, feels a little bit anger, and he has a son named Bonario. He has a son named Bonario. I'll stop here for 30 seconds. I'm here to ask a few questions. What are the characters that we are introduced till so far? We are introduced with Volpone. We are introduced with Mosca, his servant. And one more character we are introduced is Corbaccio. And one more character is Mosca. There are four characters introduced to us, and we are given information about who they are and what they are. Let us continue. Corbaccio has one son, that is Bonario. And another character with whom Volpone cheats is Corvino. Corvino is a merchant in Venice, in Italy. He is also very famous in his business. He is also very rich. And remember the fact that Corvino has a beautiful wife named Celia. Corvino has a beautiful wife named Celia. And one condition is that it doesn't, Corvino doesn't want the people to visit his house, and he doesn't want his wife to meet anyone. He thinks that he has got the most beautiful wife in the world, and he always confines Celia within the four walls of the house. And with one condition, that she can come only to the window to see what is happening outside. This much you understand, students? And to talk a few things about Mosca. Mosca is an intelligent man, and he is the one who plans and executes the plans of Volpone. And Corvino is the second person with whom Volpone tries to cheat along with his servant Mosca. So we are introduced with three characters, that is Walter, that is an advocate, Corbaccio, and Corvino. Three characters with whom Volpone wants to cheat with. Mosca meets all these three people separately and index the poison of desire in them. Please remember the word, injects the poison of desire in them, telling each of them separately, after the death of Volpone, they will get the property. Mosca doesn't meet the people together. He meets individually and tells each one of them that you will get the property after the death of Volpone. You will get the property after the death of Volpone. That's what he injects the poison of desire. To continue with, what he expects the people to bring, all the three of them to bring rich gifts to him. The first person to bring gifts is Corbaccio. He brings a small medicine which can cure Volpone. Remember always, Corbaccio is one of the richest persons in Venice. Very wisely tells him to give Mosca tells him to give the medicine to him, and where Volpone doesn't take. Medicine is not a very rich gift to Volpone. And that's what Mosca thinks. Mosca very cleverly tells Corbaccio to register all his property in Volpone's name, so that because Volpone is not going to live for a longer time, after the death of Volpone, he is not only going to get back his own property, and he is going to get back Volpone's properties as well. Look at the trick played by Mosca. Is very, very clever. That is the only reason why Volpone has kept him as one of the faithful servants with whom Volpone lives for many, many, many years. Many years. He wants to fool Corbaccio. Corbaccio believes all these things, even though he doesn't register his properties right now. He tells that he's going to register it later, but he will do it later. So remember, one person is fooled, that is Corbaccio. And next is, Volpone is also very clever man. Even though he is an old person, but he is very wise in his thought and thinking. He executes the plan very well. Advocate, yeah. Advocate, lawyer. Any questions, students? There was one comment that is Corbaccio. Corbaccio is not an advocate. That is, Walter is an advocate. Students, any doubt so far? Do we have any question to ask? Now we are very clear, very clear that Corbaccio is cheated by Volpone. Please comment on the message box, please. Do you have any questions to ask? Yeah. To continue, and he wants to continue with his cheating. That is, he comes to know about Corvino. Remember, students, as I told you before, Corvino has a beautiful wife named Celia. So Volpone's eyes falls on her. Volpone comes to know that Corvino has a beautiful wife, Celia, and she is locked by her husband, and he puts lots of conditions to her. As I told you, she cannot come to the window. Even though she can come to the window, she can just stand there and view. And he just recruits 10 bodyguards around the house of around his own house to safeguard Celia from just looking into the other people. He has the vision that Celia will look into someone else. He doesn't want Celia to look into another man. Look for another man. So he just adopts or recruits 10 bodyguards to look after the house. Volpone just clearly tells Mosca that he is going to flatter Celia, and he's going to flatter and how he's going to make Celia to fall in love with Volpone is a $1 million question. And along with Mosca, Volpone disguises themselves. Along with Mosca, Volpone disguises himself as Monlebank, that is a person who sells oil to cure sicknesses. Monlebank, that means he disguises himself as a person who sells the oil which cures the sicknesses, and they go to the place where Celia stays there, and they put a small shop there. And in order to get the attention, or in order to get the diversion of Celia, Volpone just plays the trick as the person who sells the oil which cures the diseases of the human beings. And I'll stop here for a moment. And there is a subplot here. There are minor characters which are introduced to us at this point. One is Sir Politic would be, and there is a traveler, Polograne, and Sir Politics would be, his wife is one more character, Mrs. Would-be, and these are the characters. When Volpone along with Mosca, when they arrive to Celia's house, or the street where Celia's house is located, and these two, Sir Politics would be, and a traveler, Pellegrin, they were talking. They were just having a small conversation. And at that particular time, Volpone and Mosca, they come to the place. They reach Carvino's place at this particular moment. Volpone tries to divert the attention of Celia. Who? Volpone. Why? Yes, told Mosca that he is going to make Celia to fall in love with Volpone. Is going to make Celia to fall in love with Volpone. Corvino comes to know about the people who are selling oil there, and before he comes, Celia, remember one thing, Celia can come only to the window, and she just drops the towel just through the window. As soon as she drops the towel or a small kerchief or a small piece of cloth through the window, Corvino comes to know what Celia is doing, and he gets angry, and he chases all the people who are selling oil in that particular place. And he comes home and asks Celia, why did you drop towel or a piece of clothes? And he wanted to keep control over Celia. Now the control becomes a little more stricter. And what is the condition he puts? It tells her to be confined within the four walls. And the tragedy here is, according to Corvino, and she has to wear the chastity belt. Look at, I don't see, as a person, I don't see any fault with Corvino. And he always tells Celia to wear chastity belt. What do you understand by this? What is chastity belt? Chastity belt is something where a belt is worn by a woman, where it cannot be removed, where nobody can touch her in order to have physical contact. This particular incident tells that Corvino has a tremendous love towards his wife. And more than that, he doesn't believe what Celia does. And next condition is, she cannot go to church. You cannot even come out of the house. You cannot stand at the window. And she was given the freedom that she can stand at the window and she can talk to the people. Maybe she can see what is happening outside. Now, all these things were withdrawn. Where she cannot go to church and she has to wear the chastity belt. That is very, very ironic. And next one is, she cannot come to the window. She has to stay within the four walls. And whatever she wants to do, she has to do it quite far away from the window. Why far away from the window? Because nobody should see her, or she should not see what is happening outside. And the other end, where Volpone goes back to his house when he was chased by Corvino, Volpone has become mad about Celia, because as soon as Celia drops the piece of cloth or a towel through the window, Volpone grabs. When he got the towel or a piece of cloth, after seeing the piece of cloth, Volpone has become an insane. Mosca tells Volpone, promising to him to bring Celia to the place, and Mosca goes out to Celia's house. Remember, students, Mosca is a faithful servant Mosca is a faithful servant of Volpone, who always tells and executes and plans the things for Volpone. When he just sees what is happening with Volpone, just he tells that he will do whatever Volpone pleases. Whatever it can please Volpone, he will do it. With that promise, Mosca goes out, just promising that he will bring back Celia to the house. He goes and tells Corvino, and remember, after promising Volpone, Mosca goes to Volpone's place, and he tells Volpone that the doctors have advised Volpone, and if a young girl sleeps with Volpone can live maybe quite a longer time. And he doesn't openly say to Corvino to send his beautiful wife to Volpone to sleep with. He indirectly tells Volpone, if you can find a girl, definitely, Corvino, if you can find a beautiful girl, definitely Volpone will be pleased with your act, and definitely he will write down or he will build down all his properties in your name. He tries to convince Corvino to, what shall I say, to bring his wife to Volpone's place. And he also tells he's an old man. He cannot even get up, even he cannot walk. And don't expect that Volpone is going to do that illegal activity. To illegal activity in the sense, Volpone doesn't have the strength to rape a girl. And he tries to convince Corvino to send his only beautiful wife to Volpone. If Corvino sends his wife, Volpone will be very pleased with, and he will definitely write down all his properties in Corvino's name. Let's continue. He tells Corvino that Volpone is too old, T-O-O-O, too old to that act. But Mosca tells Corvino to convince his wife. Corvino just stops for a moment and thinks, I don't find any fault with Volpone. If Volpone doesn't have that power to do that particular act. What is the wrong if I send my wife to him to sleep with? Only sleeping, right? It doesn't have the power. Volpone doesn't have the power to rape my wife, according to Moscow. Moscow just tells that he doesn't have the power. And what is the wrong if I send my wife to him just to sleep with? And he agrees to send his wife, and Moscow just goes out. And Moscow just goes and meets one more person, that is Bonario. Please remember, who is Bonario? Bonario is the son of the merchant named Corbaccio. And he just goes and tells him, and he induces the poison of suspicion. He induces a poison of suspicion in Bonario's hearts and ears, and tells him that your father is not going to give the property to you. Your father is not going to give the properties to you. You will be left propertyless. So you will be left a beggar in the street. And he just tells, and he just brings Bonario to Volpone's house and tells him to hide in one of the places where he cannot be noticed, and he asks him to listen what is the conversation that takes place between his father and Volpone. Volpone, why Moscow wants to do? Because Moscow thinks that when the conversation takes place, Moscow will get angry and he will kill his own father, Corbaccio. There is one more character that is introduced, that is Lady Would-be. That is the wife of, remember, there were two more characters which were introduced. Lady Would-be is the wife of Politics Would-be. And she comes there in that particular place, and she is the wife of Politics Would-be, and she makes the mess in the house, and she confuses the people around her, because Moscow had a different notion. That he wants to create a confusion with the people in the house. That's why he brought Bonario to the house. In order to chase Lady Would-be, Moscow tells her that he had spotted her husband with a prostitute or a whore, W-H-O-R-E, whore, near the street. And he tells that he has seen Sir Politics Would-be with a prostitute. Why he tells? So that Lady Would-be will disappear from the particular place, so that the further conversation will take place where he is expecting Bonario to listen the conversation between Corvino and Volpone, where Bonario should get angry with his father. Let us continue what happens further. Moscow thinks that Corbaccio will come to that particular spot, but instead of Corvino comes, sorry, he thinks that Corbaccio will come to this particular place, but instead of Corbaccio, Corvino comes along with his wife, called Celia. When Celia comes to know about it, that means Volpone wants to sleep with Celia. When she comes to know about what is going to happen next, she rejects his requests and scolds her own husband, and even she scolds Volpone. Volpone pretends to be very, very sick, and Volpone comes and tells her about all the things that had happened, and he's very sick. He cannot even walk. He cannot even speak properly. He can only fumble a few words. And Corvino tries to convince his wife Celia, but Celia doesn't get convinced, and he thinks that if I am here and things will go in wrong path, and I will leave it to two of them, and Corvino leaves that particular place. When Volpone comes to know that Corvino has left that particular place, and Volpone comes to that place and tells Celia that I am more richer than your husband. I will take care of all your needs. That's what it is, all your needs. And I have more property than your husband. I am more richer than your husband. I have more diamonds and golds stored in my store. I will give you if you agree to sleep with me. And next, what happens? Remember, Bonario was just hiding in Volpone's place. Bonario could hear the conversation which was going on between Volpone and Celia. Here, Bonario comes to know that Volpone is pretending to be very sick. And when Volpone's words were rejected by Celia just tells Volpone that I cannot do against the will of God. Even my soul doesn't allow me to sleep with you. Volpone tries to rape her. When this Volpone tries to rape Celia, Bonario gets angry and just runs from that hiding place to save Celia. Mosca comes to that particular place again, and to avoid the incident or the confusion, Mosca and Volpone feel afraid, and they feel afraid that Mosca, that is Bonario, came to know what I am pretending to be sick. And Mosca, that is Bonario, will just tell the whole city that Volpone is pretending to be sick, and they are being caught. That's what they think. And meanwhile, there was a case registered in the court, that is rape case was registered in the court, and to fight for Volpone there is a lawyer, Walter. Remember, he is also the person who wants to get who wants to get the properties of Volpone. So he is the person who just defends the case. And Volta, Corbaccio, Corvino, and they are telling the court that Bonario is telling lies. They come to the court and they tell the court that Bonario and Celia, they both of them they're telling lies. They're telling lies. And here you will be having a question. Sir, Bonario is the son of Corvino. Why father is against son? Why father should say lies about his own son to get punished? It is because Mosca just told Corvino that Bonario is going to kill him. That is the only reason why Corvino is against Bonario. That is father against son. Father is against son. And Corvino here, Corvino doesn't save his own wife. It is because if the whole court comes to know that Volpone is a wronged person, Volpone will go back to the prison and Corvino will not get any properties of Volpone. Corvino will not get any properties of Volpone. And in order to avoid that confusion, and if he is supporting his wife, he will lose the properties of Volpone. That is the reason why Corvino doesn't save his wife. And that's what Mosca tells. You will not get anything if you support your own wife. If you support your own wife, your Volpone will go to prison and you will be left with nothing. And he tells further, Corvino, if you tell or if you save your wife, the property of Volpone will be taken over by the government. So you will be left in the street. You will be left in the street. And next is Sir Politic Would comes to the court and Prograin, that is another girl, is like a girl like a character, and Celia's reputation has already been damaged. Celia's reputation has already been damaged. So Celia and Bonario are in deep trouble now. Volpone is not present in the particular place in the court because he already told the court that he's very sick, even he cannot walk. From whom? Through Mosca, he just sent a letter to the court saying that he's very sick, he cannot even walk. He cannot even walk. So Bonario tells he is really disappointed the progress that has developed in that court. And Bonario just advises the court to bring Volpone to the court. Bring Volpone to the court. Why? He just tells if he is brought to the court, the truth will be revealed. The truth will be revealed if Volpone is brought to the court. So forcefully, Volpone is brought back to the court. And again in the court, Walter tries to argue, how can an old man try to rape a girl if he cannot get up and walk? If he doesn't have the strength to get up, how can an old man rape a girl? So the court, the court leaves Volpone because Volpone is already brought back to the court. When Volpone is brought back to the court, Walter argues again for the sake of Volpone. It doesn't, the court doesn't pronounce or give or come out with a verdict. Volpone tries to play the tricks with the other people as well. Volpone tells that he pretends, he just tells Mosca that, tell the people that he's dead, he's no more, and all the properties of Volpone is willed or written in Mosca's name. And he just wants to play more trick with the people. He tells Mosca, tell the people about it, where Volpone has written all the properties in my name, and no one is there to take to inherit the properties. All the properties have been given to me. You just inform the people. So again, here again the court's hearing is there in the evening, and Volpone disguises himself as an old man there, and to the world is no more. To Mosca is alive. And Mosca just informs all the other people that Volpone is no more. He has written all the properties in his name. All the properties in his name. Now Volpone comes there, disguises, and they came to know, the people come to know about Volpone's death. And again, all the people, three people, that is Walter, Corbaccio, and Corvino. Three people come to Volpone's place, and they were told that Volpone is no more, and all the properties were written in Mosca's name. They get angry. They get angry. They get Yeah, students, sorry, it got disconnected. And let me just conclude this one, where the properties of Mosca will go to properties of Volpone will go to Mosca. It tells the court that he has got of Volpone, and Volpone just he was standing there. And he tells the court that what had happened so far, and all the plans were revealed. Why? Because the things were going out of his own control, out of his own control, and Volpone openly comes and tells the people, or tells the court that what are the things that has happened so far. The plans were told to the court comes to know about it. Mosca is given. Remember, now the court is going to give judgment or the final verdict, coming to know about the doings of the people, of these two people. Mosca is given life imprisonment or life sentences. And Walter, the lawyer, and his license were cancelled, and he was banished from the Corbaccio, and he's told that he should give his to be recorded or registered under his son Bonario. Corvino, he just tells Celia should get divorced. That means she should get proper money to handle her own life. And he was humiliated of the huge crowd. And Volpone, the last person whom the punishment is given is, and he was given the life, that is death sentence. He was given death sentence. The play ends here. And what are the things that you need to concentrate? You need to concentrate about the title of the text, title of the play, the characters, the themes, all these things. Concentrate on. Students, do you have any questions to ask? Please ask me. Students, do you have any questions to ask? Ask me. Okay, students, we will continue tomorrow.
Am I audible? I need your response in the comment box. One or two response in the comment box, please. I need one or two response in the comment box so that I can begin the class. Am I audible? ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? Hello? Okay, fine. Okay. Thank you. As I told you in the morning that I'll be dealing with another important text from the paper called Shakespeare. You have a paper titled Shakespeare 1.2, isn't it? You have a paper titled Shakespeare, isn't it? Hardcore 1.2 is titled as Shakespeare. There you have few important Shakespearean plays, dramas prescribed for you for your study in the syllabus, isn't it? Yes. So let me straight away start the session. I don't think I may complete this text within 1 hour. I may take another 10 or 15 extra minutes, okay? 15 minutes extra class, okay? So what happens here, let me give you a brief introduction to Shakespeare. You might have heard the name of Shakespeare. Shakespeare is a renowned a dramatist who has written 37 plays and 154 sonnets. Shakespeare and his contribution to English literature, English language is huge, enormous. Shakespeare, again, there is no day in the world, no place in the world where people have not discussed, when and where people have not discussed about Shakespeare. All his 37 plays are considered as masterpieces. And Shakespeare wrote his plays for theater, for theater going audience. He never wrote his plays for the reading public. He never wrote his plays for reading public. His greatness, his works have stood the test of time. It has easily crossed over the test of time, and the relevance of Shakespearean work is very much visible. Even now, people do read Shakespearean plays. His contribution to English language is also quite immense. Shakespeare, as I told you, has written few important plays. His plays can be categorized into three major types. One is historical plays, another one is romantic comedies, and the third one is tragedies. So historical plays, romantic comedies, another one is tragedies. So if you want me to name tragedies, tragedy like Hamlet is also a tragedy. You have Macbeth, King Lear, and you have Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar is also a tragedy. It can also be considered as a tragedy and also a historical play. And you also have Othello, Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear, Julius Caesar, so many other plays. When it comes to romantic comedy, you have The Tempest, As You Like It, Measure for Measure, and you have Twelfth Night, and you have so many other important plays. When it comes to historical plays, you have Richard II, Henry IV, Henry V, Edward III. Okay, there are so many other historical plays. The difference between tragedy and comedy is, let me give you a simple example. Let me give you a simpler explanation. Sorry. A tragedy is the play or the story or the play. A tragic story normally ends with a tragic note. A tragic note in the sense, if you are a theater going audience or a movie watching fellow or theater going audience or a cinema, if you are a serious movie watcher, you can see that a tragedy in tragedy normally it is the hero who dies. So the tragedy you can call a story as not call a tragedy a story as a tragedy if in that story a supporting cast or a supporting role character of a supporting role or even the villain, even if the villain dies, even if the supporting character dies, you don't feel pity or sympathy. What happens here? So a tragedy is a play or a story, a tragic play or a tragic cinema has got a story where the hero dies. Because only when the hero dies, you find pity or sympathy in the mind of the audience, in the mind of the reader, isn't it? You don't feel pity or sympathy if a supporting cast or a villain dies. You don't feel sympathetic towards villains, isn't it? So it's as easy as that. So in comedies, nobody dies. Nobody dies. The ending of the movie normally ends with a happy note, with a happy note where all the characters unite. Yeah, heroes normally dies not only because of his decisions, in some cases because of fate, destiny. Okay, also plays major role, not only because of his decisions. Okay, so even some in some cases, first again it's his fate or destiny, which plays the major role when it comes to the death of the hero. Hero dies only when there is when he commits wrong in decision making. At the same time, when there is what when there is a flaw, when there is flaw in his character, when there is flaw in his character and in decision making. At the same time, hero in some place, some movies or some stories die because of what? Die because of fate or destiny. Destiny also plays major role. Along with that, the flaw in character. The flaw in character. When it comes to Macbeth, it is the destiny and also the flaw in his character. Okay, the flaw. Even King Lear. King Lear, it is not destiny, it is the flaw in his character. Othello, the flaw in his character. There is a loophole. There is a lapse in his character, in his characteristic. Okay, in his ಅವನ ನಡತೆ ಅವನ ಗುಣದಲ್ಲೇ ತಪ್ಪುಗಳಿರುತ್ತೆ. There again you have King Lear, Othello, and so many other plays where you find the heroes having flaws in their character. Okay, so Julius Caesar, again this play was written in 1599. It is one of the historical Roman play. The other historical Roman play is Antonio, Cleopatra, and Coriolanus. Okay, Coriolanus, 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 and Antony and Cleopatra are the two other Roman historical plays. Roman historical plays. So Shakespearean plays have stood the test of time. The play, again, Julius Caesar deals with important political questions as dictatorship, liberty, and forms of government. Okay, here Shakespeare tries to answer the impact of dictatorship, the types of government. You know, before reading this play, you should try to know Plato's Republic. You know, the characters in this play are immensely influenced by Plato's Republic. You should not forget that Roman Republican ideology was influenced by Plato's Republic. At the same time, critics have felt that this play is so important because not because of the death of Caesar, because of the cause that led to the death of Julius Caesar. No, the cause. It is what made his own friends to kill Julius Caesar. What are the factors that contributed to the killing of Julius Caesar? Julius Caesar. So the play is a fusion of both history and tragedy. As I told you, this play can be categorized as a tragedy. At the same time, it's a historical play because it deals with Roman history. Roman history. Again, the characters that you see, the story that you read in this play, they are all associated with Roman history. They are all associated with Roman history, and the play. That is the reason why the play is a fusion of both history and tragedy. It's a historical play and also a tragic play. Shakespeare knows how to exploit the power of speech. His plays are relevant even today. Themes and concerns of Shakespeare's plays. What are the major themes and concerns? Good versus evil, okay, love, friendship, political and social life of man. Social life of man. So Julius Caesar, very very important text because here you read about the tragic death of Julius Caesar. At the same time, when you read the play, you don't find the presence of Julius Caesar throughout the play. Physically, Julius Caesar is killed, he dies in Act 3. In Act 3 itself, Julius Caesar dies. But the presence of Julius Caesar is felt in the form of ghost throughout the play. Throughout the play. That is the reason why critics say Caesar dead is more dangerous than Caesar alive. Because the repercussions of Caesar's death is such that it changed the history of Roman Empire. The repercussions, the impact of Caesar's death is such that it changed the history of Roman Empire. So Caesar alive is not dangerous. Caesar dead is more dangerous. So it is Caesar's death which causes lot of political instability in Rome, because Rome could not produce another son like Julius Caesar in its history. Because Rome as an empire could not produce another Julius Caesar in its history. So that is the reason why this play is so significant. Even Shakespeare was curious to know about, because Shakespeare borrows material for his plays from the book called The Lives of the Great Greeks and Romans by North. Okay, Olinshut Chronicles also helps him as material, provides materials for his plays. At the same time, it is the book called the Lives of Great Greeks and Romans by North, RTS North, which helps him to borrow material for his Roman plays. He borrows source and he builds a play. He borrows some source, some basic concepts. Even Shakespeare, as I told you, was curious. I have read, according to my reading, again I came to know that Shakespeare was also curious to know about Caesar, what kind of character he is. When he read his history, he came to know the tragic death of Caesar and how he was killed by his own friends. What are the factors that led to his death? And the word Caesarian derives from the name of Julius Caesar, Caesarian operation, because it is recorded. It is recorded in the history that Julius Caesar was the first man or human being to be born by cutting his mother's womb. He was born through Caesarian operation. Okay, through Caesarian operation. If you look into the spelling of Caesarian, you'll come to know it is named after Julius Caesar. Caesarian. The word Caesarian, which is used in hospitals, it's derived from the name of Julius Caesar. So, some of you have some stupid questions. Sir, which topic in 1.2 ಅಂತ ಅನುಪಮ ಅನ್ನೋರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮಲಗಿದ್ರಾ ನೀವು? Please. If you have come late to the class online, don't ask such stupid questions, because I have already given you the introduction, so much introduction information about Shakespeare, about other aspects. As I told you, critics have also found this thing because of the way he was killed, and you find when you read the play, you don't think that you don't feel that it is Caesar who is the hero, because Caesar dies in Act 3 itself. But the characters and the people in the play that you see in the play discuss about Caesar throughout the play. They discuss about Julius Caesar. In fact, even in the battlefield, Caesar's ghost appears to tell the form, the way, the motto, the reason, the way he was killed. So, let me start the play right away. Okay, you see, at the very outset, the beginning, you can see the dramatist Shakespeare is presenting the Roman public. At the very outset, in Act 1, Scene 1, you can see the Roman public. They have gathered on the streets of Rome, to welcome Julius Caesar, who has returned victorious. Okay, victorious after defeating whom? Pompey, 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 in the battle of I think it's Caesar's rival Pompey. He defeats in Philippi. It defeats in the battle of Philippi, Philippi. Okay, it is still located. It's still found in parts of Italy. Italy is called today. The name given to Rome is Italy. The former name for Italy was Rome. Italy, in Italy, you can see is the city called Rome. Okay, and you can see this man Caesar is returning, and people have gathered to welcome Caesar. Okay, and he has defeated Pompey in the battle of Philippi, and he has returned to Rome. And people are waiting on the either streets of the Rome. ಜನಗಳು ರಸ್ತೆ ಬದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ to welcome the great Julius Caesar, who is all set to become an emperor of Roman Empire, which consisted the boundary of almost all the southern Europe. Okay, so amongst the crowd you find common people, okay, discussing about Julius Caesar. That's the speciality or the greatness of Shakespeare. He involves people from common life as characters, as important characters, because he wants to show that even commoners Even commoners are interested in the politics of Rome. In the politics of Rome. So even the commoners are interested in the politics of Rome. Like you and me discuss about Modi, like you and me discuss about Gujarat government, Delhi government. So people are interested in politics, and you should not forget it was Plato's Republic. Okay, it was Plato's Republican ideology, Republican principles, which made Caesar and his followers to defeat Pompey in Philippi, because they wanted to establish Rome under the guidelines of Plato's Republic. They wanted to create a republican state. Imagine, this is a story which belongs to BC, before Christ. Then in those days, people were discussing about what? Rome republican ideology, democratic principles. Okay, very, very interesting. Now, and the period between, I think, he lived for 46 years, 44 to 100 BC, before Christ. Julius Caesar lived before Christ, 44 BC to 100 BC, 102 BC. They used to reverse the counting of dates during those times. Again, like it was reversal in order. Before Christ, it was reversal in order. I hope if you have seen the chronological order, you come to know that. So these people, even the commoners, they are waiting to welcome Julius Caesar. What happens there? They are discussing about it, and one fellow is a cobbler. Okay, there the cobbler is also interested in to see Julius Caesar. Okay, and Julius Caesar enters the scene. And you can see the swaying mood of the public. The mood of the public sways from one direction to another direction. So wherever the power is, people throng, or people go behind people who are in power. Normally, crowd do go behind people who are in power. Power is powerful. No, power is mightier. Okay, here this play is entirely about power. The struggle for power. It's a domestic play. It's a play that tells you about. It's a political play. Sorry, it's a political play that tells you about the power struggle. The power struggle between Julius Caesar and his friends. So what happens later? So people, including his own friends, okay, they are all set to welcome Caesar on the streets. So streets of Rome. You can see mob gave the same kind of reception for Pompey once upon a time. And Pompey was all set to become a dictator, an emperor. These people chased Pompey and killed him, and they wanted to establish a Roman Empire based on Plato's republican ideology principles. You see the swaying mood of the public. Now they have changed the party. They are ready to welcome Julius Caesar as they welcomed whom? Pompey in the past. So what happens there in the story? As soon as he enters the streets of Rome city, you can see Julius Caesar has come, and there he meets a soothsayer. A soothsayer. Soothsayer means one who projects the future, one who tells the future. Prophecy teller. So what happens here? The soothsayer tells a fact that he wants Caesar to be careful of Ides of March. What do you mean by Ides of March? 14th of March. 14th of March is it's normally called as normally 14th of March you see full moon day. It's called, again, normally on 14th of March it is full moon day. Okay, it is full moon day. And again, Caesar has returned to Rome on February 12th. On February 12th, I think it's 102 BC. 102 BC. He was born in 44 BC. Okay. No, no, no. He was born in 102 BC. He dies in 44 BC. It's 44 BC. 44 BC, February 12th. February 12th, he has returned to Rome and he meets a soothsayer on his way. So, there along with him, you have characters like Brutus, Cassio, okay, Casca, okay, and also Decius, and so many other characters, Cinna, Brutus, and also Cassius, and other characters. They are all standing there. And what happens here? The soothsayer says, beware of Ides of March. Ides of March means 14th of March. You know, Caesar is, on the other side, is a character who suffers from too much of or excessive pride. Too much of pride or excessive pride. So his pride disregards any kind of warning from the soothsayer. So any kind of warning from the soothsayer, he hardly cares. Because he feels that Caesar is not liable to fear. There is no meaning for the word fear in my life dictionary. Okay. Bhaya annode illa nanige. So you are asking me to be careful on March 14. What is this? So as I told you, he suffers due to excessive pride. Due to excessive pride. And that is what makes Brutus to feel. So Brutus and others feel that if you allow Caesar, not in the initial stage, later on, we'll come to know that what exactly is the factor behind Brutus joining the ants with seven deadly Roman conspirators. 7 deadly Roman conspirators. Brutus was inevitable. He was brainwashed. We'll come to that later. The same Brutus who accompanies Julius Caesar advises him to be careful. Don't be arrogant. Be careful. The dramatic irony is Brutus, his friend, who warns Caesar about catastrophic event, eventually kills him. Brutus, Octavius Brutus. Okay. It's Octavius Brutus, not Marcus Brutus. Marcus Brutus. Octavius Brutus is his father. Octavius Brutus is his father. Okay, what happens there? He advises him to be careful. On Ides of March. So what happens there? You have Cassius, an evil character. The chief villain in the play is Cassius. It is not Brutus. So what do you find? So when you read the play, even when I read the play, the text, I found that Brutus occupies the entire stage. Brutus appears like a hero, and it is the pity and sympathy of the audience lies with Brutus. You don't feel pity or sympathy towards Julius Caesar, though it is a tragedy. As an audience or a reader, serious reader of literature, you don't feel pity or sympathy towards Julius Caesar, because he dies because of his excessive pride. Whereas on the other side, you have Marcus Brutus, who kills Julius Caesar for the sake of patriotism, for the sake of excessive love towards his nation, because he believed in his ancestors who advocated him to follow republican principles. So he becomes the victim of those, again, a victim. But the reason is Cassius, as I told you, Cassius suffers because of name, because of jealousy, because of jealousy. And Cassius is the one who plots or who conspires to kill Julius Caesar. And Cassius tries to persuade Brutus at the initial stage by reduction of Caesar's gods-like superiority to human frailty. So people have started to treat Julius Caesar like God and God's representative. They have started to imagine or consider him as God's, again, representative. But Cassius, on the other side, at the very outset, talks to Brutus and tells him that even Julius Caesar has got human weaknesses, frailty, human weaknesses. Though he might appear powerful, but even again, Julius Caesar again is having human weaknesses. In that way, he tries to convey Brutus that in future, if you allow Caesar to live, to continue to be in power, he may become, or he may all set to become an emperor, a great dictator. Okay, and that is the worry. That is the worry, or again what worry or Brutus is scared of, worry that Brutus has. So what happens again? It is the ambition of man who is excluded from power. You can see Cassius is jealous, and at the same time, Caesar makes it clear that Cassius won't get any kind of power in his administration. So this man is ambitious at the same time. Why does he conspire to kill Julius Caesar? Cassius has a reason, has a particular reason. The reason is he wants to kill Julius Caesar because he wants to get rid of Julius Caesar to reach that powerful position. At the same time, this Cassius is jealous, ambitious. At the same time, he is a man who is excluded from power for so many years. So what happens? So he wants to acquire some power. So in that way, he wants to take people into confidence. The people in the cabinet, the people in the cabinet has to be taken into confidence. So for that, he plots, he conspires. So you can see, and he says now, in fact, to Brutus, that now it is Rome indeed, and room enough when there is in it but one only man. O you, and I have heard our fathers say there was a Brutus once that would have brooked the eternal devil to keep his state in Rome as easily as a king. So he is trying to brainwash Brutus. He tries to say that your ancestors, your future generation, so you have to stick to the principles of your ancestors, and you should also make sure that your future future generation should not curse you for allowing Caesar to continue in his power. So here Cassius is trying to convince Brutus is like a practiced manipulator. Okay, well practiced manipulator, and he is working on an innocent object like Brutus. Brutus appears like an innocent object. So compared to Brutus, Cassius is astute judge of men and situations. He knows how to deal with people. He knows how to handle the situations. Who? Cassius. On the other side, you have an innocent object, a very, very patriotic Brutus, a loyal friend, a loyal citizen, a loyal citizen of Rome. That is why critics call Brutus, Marcus Brutus, as the noblest of all the Romans. Caesar was the bravest. Caesar was the bravest of all the Romans. Marcus Brutus was the noblest of all the Romans. And you have Cassius, who is the lowest of all the Romans. ಸೊ ರೋಮನರ ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲೇ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಕೆಟ್ಟ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಶಿಯಸ್. ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮವಾದ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಯಾರಿದ್ರೆ ಬ್ರೂಟಸ್. ಧೈರ್ಯವಂತ ಶಕ್ತಿಶಾಲಿ ಆದವನು ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಇದ್ದರೆ ರೋಮನರ ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಜೂಲಿಯಸ್ ಸೀಸರ್. So Cassius is vindictive and very, very cold-hearted fellow. Is a very, very cold-blooded murderer. So he kills. He has no intentions except jealousy to kill Julius Caesar. So what happens there? Julius Caesar reaches the palace. So Cassius tries to convince Casca also. There is one more character called Casca, again, whom he tries to convince by giving religious touch, religious dimension. So that gods in heaven, Casca is convinced by Cassius. Casca is convinced by Cassius by giving religious touch. He says that gods in heaven are angry over the state of affairs in Rome. Because Cassius is fully aware that Casca is religious man. That is why I told you that Cassius is very, very cunning fellow. He is an astute judge of men and situations. He is an astute judge of men and situations in the play. He knows how to handle people, how to manipulate people. He is very, very vindictive. 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 If they ask you to sketch the character of Cassius, you can include all these words. Okay. Whereas you have Casca, a religious man, pious man. Okay. So the gods in heaven are angry over the states of affairs in Rome, and he knows the man responsible for these events, and he tries to enlist Casca to his conspiracy. So he tries to enlist Casca. He feels that Caesar, by turning out to be a dictator, an emperor, is all set to become an emperor again, or a dictator again. Even gods, the Roman gods in heaven are not happy with the political affairs of Rome. That is what Cassius tells to Casca, and in that way, through that manner, Cassius enlists Casca to his party or to his side. So you see, Julius Caesar reaches the palace, he receives the welcome, and this Calpurnia, 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 the wife of Caesar, comes to know that there is a danger for his life on 14th of March. So she advises him to stay in the palace, not to go out of the palace on that day. Look at Julius Caesar. On the other side, you have Brutus. He reaches his palace and he is worried because, again, he has been asked by Cassius to think about it, because he feels that if he kills Caesar, he can protect the interests of Roman Empire. So that is what Cassius has told Brutus, and Brutus reviews his reviews his reasons for joining this conspiracy to kill Caesar. Yet for the good cause of the state, yet for the good cause of the country or the state, it must be done. It must be done because the absolute power of a king, the absolute power of a king may change Caesar's nature. Caesar's nature. They have this fear that if he becomes a king, since he has returned from war, if he becomes a king in future, there might be a change in his nature. So and can make him again oppressive and tyrannical. If he is that, again, once he becomes the king, Julius Caesar may become oppressive and tyrannical. So on the other side, as I told you, Calpurnia is worried, and also Portia is also worried because Portia is the wife of Marcus Brutus. She is also worried because her husband is thinking a lot. She is worried because he is thinking, he is not sleeping properly. He is awake during nights. He is thinking about killing his own friend. Whether it is right, whether it is proper to kill his own friend Julius Caesar. He is thinking about it. So Portia is worried, Calpurnia is also worried, and these two women characters. So critics have come to the conclusion that this play is anti-feminist. Anti-feminist because there are only few women characters, and those women characters are only meant for what? To suffer, to cry for their husbands. Okay, because critics have come to the conclusion that this play is what? Is a play of war. It's a play of men and war. Men and war. ಇದು ಬರೀ ಗಂಡಸರ ನಾಟಕ ಅಂಡ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬರೀ ಯುದ್ಧ ಭೂಮಿ ಯುದ್ಧ ರಕ್ತಪಾತ ಇದೇ ವಿಚಾರಗಳು ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಾಟಕ. So critics call this play as a play of men and war. So you see, how does he try to convince his wife, who Julius Caesar? If you are picturizing or portraying the character of Julius Caesar, look at the way. Look at the way he tries to convince his wife. Both Portia and Calpurnia are fearful about the safety of their husbands. On the other side, the play is predominantly about men and their struggle for power. As I told you, the play is predominantly about men and their struggle for power. It's a fight between men for power. It's about men and predominantly the struggle for power. Therefore, a large part of it is concerned with debate, planning, and battle. Planning to kill, debate, discussions, planning to kill Caesar. So Caesar is killed in Act 1, Scene 2. Sorry, Act 3, Scene 2. So in Act 3, Scene 2, Caesar is murdered, killed by his own friends. So what happens after that? So it's the battlefield, war, debates, discussions, plot, conspiracy to kill, murder, plans. Okay, so it's quite clear that the play is all about men and the matter again about war, and the only women characters that you see are meant for only shedding tears. So Caesar in Act 2, Scene 2, you can see the pride of Caesar is well exposed by Shakespeare, is well expressed by Shakespeare. Through you see, when worried Calpurnia asks him to stay at home, this is what he says. Caesar in this scene is both the self-conscious public figure, the hero to whom fear is unknown, yet also the private individual who yields to his wife's fear. At the same time, when his wife asks him to settle at home on March 14, in fact, in the initial stage, he was ready for it. Only when Cassius, only when Dias only when I think it's Lucius. Lucius, isn't it? Yes. Lucius who enters, not Lucius, 1 minute. Decius. Yes, Decius. Only it's Decius who convinces Caesar to leave the palace. Okay, he convinces him. So he, again, this man, look at the way he tries to convince his wife. Very, very important uh, dialogue, okay, which you can use if you are portraying the character of Julius Caesar. He says, cowards die many a times before their deaths. Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never talks, sorry, the valiant never tastes of death but once. Never taste of death but once. Of all the wonders that I have heard, that I yet have heard, it seems to me most strange that men should fear. So that means it is very, very clear that he doesn't want to be a coward like character. He doesn't care for death. There is no meaning for the word fear in his life's dictionary. So, seeing that death is a necessary end will come when it will come. Savu barode idre. So, if again, death is the necessary end. We are all bound to die. That doesn't mean that you stay at home fearing death. When it comes, it will come. You cannot control it. So see the what carelessness of Julius Caesar. So he says, seeing that death a necessary end, seeing death a necessary end will come when it will come. He also continues, the gods do this shame of cowardice. The gods do this in shame of cowardice. Caesar should be a beast without a heart. Caesar will be a beast without a heart if he should stay at home today for fear. So if he stays at home with fear at home today on March 14, today, if I stay at home, people will think that I am dying because of cowardice. Cowardice or ಹೇಳಿತನ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ, ನಾನು ಆ ಥರ ಬದುಕೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡಲ್ಲ. Okay, Caesar should be a beast without a heart. If he should stay at home today for fear, no, Caesar shall not. Caesar shall not. Danger knows fully well. Danger knows fully well that Caesar is more dangerous than he. Even danger knows fully well. ಅಪಾಯಕ್ಕೂ ಗೊತ್ತು Caesar ಅಪಾಯಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಅಪಾಯ ಎಂದು. Okay, we are two lions. We means myself and danger. We are two lions. ಎರಡು ಸಿಂಹಗಳು ನಾವು. Littered in one day. ಒಂದೇ ದಿನ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಂತಹ ಎರಡು ಸಿಂಹಗಳು, ನಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಪಾಯ, ಡೇಂಜರ್. We are two lions littered, littered. Littered in one day. In one day. And Caesar shall go forth by saying, so he gets ready to live. But at the same time, Calpurnia says, she says that she had an experience. She had a bad dream. She had a bad dream on the previous night where she could see the statue of Caesar bleeding statue of Caesar, which is a bad omen. Okay, which is a bad omen according to Calpurnia. The statue of Caesar is bleeding. The statue of Caesar located in the heart of the city is bleeding. She could see that in her dream. So she has to think again and to stay at the palace. Okay, and there this man Decius, what he says, what does he says? I have, when you have heard what I can say, and know it now, the Senate have concluded to give this day a crown to mighty Caesar. So the Senate, the cabinet have decided to give you the crown on this day, 14th of March. So you are welcome to the capital. Okay, so we have decided to give you the crown. Okay, and they have concluded to give this day a crown to the mighty Caesar. If you shall send them word, you will not come, their minds may change. If you say, I will not come, the senators may change their mind. Their mind. ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಬದಲಾಯಿಸ್ಬೋದು, ಮುಂದೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಸಿಂಹಾಸನ ಕಿರೀಟ ಕೊಡದೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಯೋಚಿಸು. And he also says, break up the Senate till another time. Shall I ask the Senate to break up the meeting, today's meeting, till another time, when Caesar's wife shall meet with better dreams. So when Caesar's wife gets better dreams, okay, then we can call for a meeting of senators. He is shading, he is teasing Caesar, at the same time he is tempting Caesar, because he is fully aware that Caesar suffers from excessive pride, and is fully aware that he can be easily trapped when you shade his what? Ego, pride. Okay, and for Caesar, that fear is not liable to fear. ಭಯ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವನಿಗೆ. ಸೊ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಈಗ ರೇಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ನಿನ್ನ ಹೆಂಡತಿಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕನಸು ಬಿಡುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅವತ್ತೇ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ, ಅವತ್ತೇ ನಿನಗೆ ಕಿರೀಟ ಧಾರಣೆ ಮಾಡೋಣ. If Caesar hide himself, shall they not whisper, lo, Caesar is afraid? ನೀನು ಬಚ್ಚಿಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಕೊಳಲ್ಲ, ಸೀಸರ್ಗೆ ಭಯ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ, ಭಯಭೀತನಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ. So Caesar decides to live. So what happens in Act 3? Caesar reaches the capital. There they are all waiting with the daggers to kill Caesar. Okay, as soon as he enters, so there another character is introduced in Act 3, Scene 1. Caesar is accompanied by Mark Antony. Mark Antony is another character in Julius Caesar, a good friend of Julius Caesar, at the same time a wise man, intelligent man, cunning fellow, a very wise man, intelligent man, a good poet, cunning man, because he is the one, we'll come to that later. So you see, when he enters, Cassius, Caesar, again Caesar is met again by all the other senators. You say, look at this pride, even on the verge of death. When he has entered the threshold of death, when he is in the threshold of death, ಸಾವಿನ ವಸ್ತಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಅಹಮ್ಮು, ಆ ಪ್ರೈಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. What does he say? I am constant as the northern star. Julius Caesar calls himself to the Dhruva Nakshatra, to the northern star. ಒಳಪಿನಿಂದ ಕೂಡಿರುವ ಧ್ರುವ ನಕ್ಷತ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾನೆ. Okay, so they are all set to kill. The 7 senators, the 7 secret conspirators, senators of Rome have joined hands to kill Caesar, because some feel that he is causing damage to the Republican ideology. Some kill him due to jealousy. Some kill him due to what? Due to fear of God, because they feel he is hurting the sentiments of Roman gods by being a dictator with his excessive pride, by having dictatorial qualities in him. They have that fear that if he becomes king, he won't allow anybody to live or breathe freely. They are afraid of it. They feel that if he becomes king, he will float all the Republican ideology in the air. ಗಾಳಿಲಿ ತೇಲಿ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕನ್ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತಗಳನ್ನು. Okay, so what happens here? They all join hands, and it is Casca, Cinna, okay, Brutus, okay, everyone, all of them stab the daggers on Brutus. Sorry, on Caesar. They all murder Caesar Caesar is murdered. Ironic contrast is the blood-stained evidence of murders versus peace and liberty. After killing Caesar, they proclaim, they scream that they have killed Caesar. For what? For peace and liberty. For peace and liberty. Okay, liberty, freedom, tyranny is dead. Liberty, freedom, tyranny is dead. Liberty, freedom, and enfranchisement. Ambition's debt is paid. Brutus says, ambition's debt, DEBT, debt is paid. ತುಂಬ ಆಂಬಿಷಿಯಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಪ್ರತ್ಯುತ್ತರ ಕೊಡಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಸರಿಯಾದ ಋಣಸಂದಾಯ, ಡೆಪ್ತ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಋಣಸಂದಾಯ ಮಾಡಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ he says. Brutus, Caesar is shocked to see Brutus joining hands with them, because Brutus has also stabbed him with his dagger. He says, et tu, Brutus, then falls Caesar. ನೀನು ಕೂಡ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿದೆಯಾ? ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಸಾಯೋದೇ ಲೇಸ್ ಅಂತಾನೆ. Caesar, et tu, Brutus, then falls Caesar. Et tu, E-T-T-U, E-T space T-U, et tu means ನೀನು ಕೂಡ ಇದೆಯಾ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ? Okay, then falls Caesar. So Caesar dies. Caesar may be tyrant, but he is also stabbed in his back. The conspirators may be convinced of the rightness of their cause, but cold-blooded murder operating under the guise of flattery cannot appear in action as anything but vicious, whatever the reasons are. We may not be moved to pity for Caesar, but we do recognize the pathos of Brutus. As a reader, we do recognize the pathos of Brutus. So what is the state of his mind? So he has killed his own friend by joining hands with the 7 conspirators. So he has killed him for a better cause. He believes that, again, he has to protect the Roman Republican, Plato's Republican ideology. So he was the greatest patriotic, loving son of the Roman Empire. So again, naturally, as a reader, we fall in love with Marcus Brutus. Okay, we may not be moved to pity for Caesar, but we do recognize the pathos of Brutus, obliged to kill his friend for his principles, Roman Republican principles. Here we can see, in this act, we can see Mark Antony, naked, undisguised grief. Even Mark Antony, though he has accompanied Julius Caesar, he never tries to retort or give a befitting reply to those 7 conspirators. He stands mute, spectator. He never rebukes or retorts, because he was fully aware that if he retorts, even he can be killed. So he acts smartly. So in order to escape from that situation, he says that again, he disguises his grief and hatred and impassioned desire for revenge. He wants to take revenge because for the killing. Okay, the gentlemen become the butchers later. So in the initial stage, when they kill Julius Caesar, Mark Antony addresses the 7 conspirators as gentlemen of Rome. Okay. So sees again, when they all live, there comes Brutus, here comes Antony. Again, Antony now tries to shed his tears, and what happens there? He hides his grief. Okay, I'll skip few pages. Let us see what happens. In Act 4, uh, Antony's political oratory is such that audience are often taken in by it. His emotion is genuine. It is the subtle manipulation of the audience which lies beneath the apparent artlessness of the speech that is so clever. That is so clever. He is so clever. He is so clever because it is Mark Antony's speech again in front of Roman mob. He asked those seven conspirators to defend their cause of killing in front of Roman again mob. He asks them to bring his body on the stage, on the center, on the heart of the city. Okay, in the heart of the city on the stage. They all bring his body. What happens? Mark Antony utilizes this opportunity. He tries to maneuver the public sympathy, or he tries to achieve what the public attention. And this Mark Antony speech is very very famous. Mark Antony's speech is very very political speech, is very very so famous. So it consists of what? Satire, mockery, okay, again everything. He blames the seven conspirators in that particular speech. And what all happens before blaming them. He allows them to speak. First he allows Brutus to speak, because they have to defend their cause of killing. Later on, when they all elope from the scene, Mark Antony utilizes the stage and addresses the Roman mob, and he tries to channelize what? The anger of Roman mob towards these seven conspirators. So what happens there? Look at this important dialogue by Brutus. I think I am 4 or 5. Shall I continue or take up in the next class? Shall I continue with the text, or shall I continue now, or take up the same text in the next class? I want your response. Shall I continue now and complete the text, or shall I move on to